Well, I could have left the meeting if I didn't want to be recorded. So,
Lily, did you ever get the recordings from the Heltzers?
Yes, everything should be on our YouTube page now.
Oh, okay. You go to the YouTube page.
Yeah, if you need the link, I can email it to you.
Would you? Yeah, because as I said, I missed your presentation and I also missed Jerry's. So I'm hoping to.
Yeah, they should all be there. So if they're not for some reason, let me know, but they should all be there. So I'm going to leave to tutor our B'nai Mitzvah students, but it's so good to see all of you, and thank you, Marsha. I look forward to watching this back afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would you like me to start?
yes, would you like to give your own self? I mean, there's so much that you've done. You have a great long what was resume or curricula vitae, which wherever you would like to start telling us about all your accomplishments, or would you just like to move forward?
About the Interfaith Solidarity Network.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. I will give a little history about Interfaith, which does involve a little bit of what I had done. It's good to see you all, and I really appreciate your being with us today. I was asked to speak about the Interfaith Solidarity Network, which is a relatively new organization. And a little bit of history of interfaith in the San Fernando Valley to give some context to it. Back in 1964, a group of interfaith people were sitting in somebody's backyard, and they decided that it was time to stand up and speak out. It was around the issue of fair housing. And they created an organization. I'm not going to go into all the details of the legislation and all of that, but they created an interfaith organization. It was an interfaith organization because it was an interfaith group of people. And they created an organization called the Valley Interfaith Council. And you are all, I'm sure, familiar with that organization. And in addition to their interfaith work and their social justice work primarily, no, forget the interfaith, they were primarily a social justice organization dealing with fair housing. And that went on for many, 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 many years. But over the years, it evolved into a social service agency dealing with services for seniors. And it became the most effective agency providing services. They had like 5 senior centers, Meals on Wheels, Meals to the Homebound, and outstanding programs for seniors. They're one of the largest agencies that does senior services in the whole city of Los Angeles. They also did and were the voice of interfaith in the San Fernando Valley. Unlike other areas of Los Angeles, where there are interfaith councils and mostly made up of clergy, the Valley had nothing. And so this organization, which was both clergy and lay-led, were the voice of interfaith and did interfaith programming and responses to the many, over the years, incidences of hate that occurred throughout the Valley. They, have press conferences, they'd march, they do all sorts of things. Well, to make a long story short, I got involved in that organization and was involved with it for about 10 years. I was chair of the board for about 3 years. And in the late 2014, 15, I don't remember the exact time, I have to say there was a hostile takeover of the organization, and it changed its mission to only senior services, no interfaith work at all. So that's the past. Okay, fast forward to 2016. We all know what happened. We had an election. And need I say more? The outspoken Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, which was rampant, anti-immigrant, the Muslim ban, all created a climate of fear and a need. Fear felt by many who were victims, by the communities, by our own community, in particular, the Muslim community. And there was then a lot of talk about a need to stand up and speak out about it, not just sit back. And so after much discussion and a group of people came together, we decided to have a little event to address the issues. Well, that little event, as some of you may recall, became the first march, which was hosted by our own Temple Judea, the Islamic Center of Reseda, and Our Lady of Grace Catholic Parish. And this was in September, in the middle of the heat, very hot day in 2017. In September of 2000, whoop, I lost you. Oh my goodness. What happened? I lost you. Hang on. Woo.
We see you, Marsha.
We
Yeah.
see you and hear
I
you.
don't see you.
Oh, well, we see you and hear you.
Why did this? Oh my God. I lost it. There. Okay, I got it back. This is quite a challenge, learning from a PC for all these years to actually doing everything on a Mac. It's quite a challenge. So we had this march. How many of you were at that march? Were any of you at that march? Okay. Well, it started out at Our Lady of Grace. It was a very big event. We had outstanding speakers to kick it off. We ended up at the end of the day, after marching from Our Lady of Grace to Temple Judea, where Rabbi Aronson had everybody come into the temple because it was so hot out. It was very hot. And from there, we marched up to Victory and Lindley to the Islamic Center, where the final program was. We had speakers all along. It turned out, and we counted, that we had almost 1,000 people, which absolutely was sending a message, an important message. So that was why we came together after that, and we said, we need to formalize this. So in 2018, we created a 501c3 nonprofit, the Interfaith Solidarity Network. And then we held our second march was at, let me say, in between those two times, there was in one day, a vandalism at an Orthodox synagogue on Reseda Boulevard, and a vandalism at an Armenian school. And the Interfaith Solidarity Network clergy, within 24 hours, responded both by visiting both sites and also by creating a service, which we held at Our Lady of Grace. It all occurred within 48 hours, and Temple Judea participated. Yona and Allison were both there and participated in that service. And we had almost 150 people there. And this is a matter of hours and, a couple of days. it came together. So this is the kind of thing that an interfaith group needs to do. They need to respond. They can't just accept, we always hear from ADL, speak up, stand up and speak up. And this is what we did. And so in 2018, we created our second march in the West Valley. And it occurred the day after the Tree of Life Synagogue massacre, just coincidentally. So it generated a lot of press, a lot of horrendous tears and anxiety and concern. And we just said, this is what we need to do. We need to show up. And I will tell you, at that march, we had a huge turnout from the Muslim community, huge turnout. So then in 2019, we had our last march was 2019 in the mid-North Valley, Coldwater and I can't remember the exact street. It's not as far north as Rinaldi, but Roscoe and Coldwater. And again, 3 different congregations, 3 faith traditions co-sponsored it. And again, we had a big turnout. So to ISN, who are we? What are we? We're a 501c3. We have a board of directors. We have a mission. Our mission is to break down barriers and inspire solidarity among communities in the San Fernando Valley. We focus entirely on the Valley. We build relationships across cultures and faiths. We educate. We organize for peace and justice. We mobilize against intolerance. We embrace the principles of nonviolence. We do interfaith programming and special events. 2 of our main events are our Thanksgiving, Interfaith Thanksgiving service, which have both been virtual and have been beautiful, amazing musical programs. And our annual, and we've done 4 of them now, Martin Luther King commemoration. And most recently, our speakers there have been the Reverend James Lawson, Reverend Naomi Tutu, the daughter of Desmond Tutu, who just recently passed away. And our most recent, last January, we had Representative Karen Bass as our speaker. So those are that's our programming, interfaith programming, but our march is our branding. That's our brand, is the march. People always say, when is your next march? And I will get to that. But we also do advocacy. Obviously, we're nonpartisan. We're 501c3. We have to be nonpartisan. We do not take positions on candidates. We do take positions on issues. And the 2 issues that we are most active on are homelessness and housing justice and climate justice. And we've done multiple programs in coalition with other organizations on both of those things. A lot of one-on-one housing advocacy. We've attended neighborhood council meetings where they're debating, a project somewhere. We kind of try to talk back to the NIMBYs, which is not easy. Stand up for what's right and just. And we have 2 major committees that work on that, but they also work in coalition across the city with other groups. We work with United Way, with Everyone In climate. They're part of the Climate Equity LA. We work in all of these areas. We're not a member organization. We are a partnership organization. as a membership nonprofit is a different entity than what we are. We are a 501c3. We are a tax deductible organization. So if somebody makes a commitment or a contribution or joins us, it is a tax deductible donation. But we are partners. And so we have two categories of partnerships. We have our organizational partners, which are primarily congregations. And we currently have about 38 congregations that are paid up partners of the organization. And then we have individual partnerships. Some of you are already individual members. And so that's really who we are. And we are trying to build up our board. We try to be very diverse on our board. We try to make sure that every faith tradition is represented. And likewise at our events, we are very focused on the diversity of involvement. And this year, our march, which you will probably see publicized, this is the flyer for it. We're doing something different. It's going to be a mini march. It's on June 12th. Put it on your calendars. It's this will be the first march since 2019. So I have to tell you, we are really excited. It's going to be all outdoors. It's going to be in the North Valley. It's being hosted primarily by Ahavat Shalom. And we're starting at Zelza Park on Rinaldi. And we will have a rally and a few speakers at the park. I want to share our speakers because I'm very excited about it. And our speakers are speaking about those things that we advocate. Aside from our clergy and our interfaith, we have Stephanie Klasky-Gamer, who you may know, who is the president CEO of LA Family Housing. She has spoken at our marches before. She will be speaking. And Lorraine Lundquist, whom you all must have heard of, who is a professor at Cal State Northridge, Cal State Northridge. She's an environmentalist. She has run for office before, but she is not running for any office right now. She will also be speaking. And her name is Capri Maddox, who is the executive director of the LA Human Relations Committee. So we're covering all our bases, and we're going to have a lot of music. And then we're going to march all of 4 blocks, which is a very short march compared to our past marches, to Ahavat Shalom, to their outdoor amphitheater. And we're going to have an outdoor interfaith, our first interfaith musical program.
What time, Marsha, on the 12th?
Okay, we're gathering at 1:30 at the park. It's actually on Zelza Avenue, just off of Rinaldi, at 1:30, and you'll register. And we're not going to be requiring, we're not going to check for vaccinations or anything like that. We will have masks available if people want to wear them. It will be all outside. There will be no indoor events at all. And at 3 o'clock, we will march 4 short blocks to Ahavat Shalom. And from 4 to 5:15, we'll have our Interfaith Musical Festival. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus groups participating in the music festival. Many of you know Kander Mike Stein. he's from Temple Aliyah, who's Mr. Music, unbelievable. He will be participating and working on that, and he is a board member of our organization. And at 5:30, we're going to get dinner once again. The Sikh community every year provides a delicious vegetarian dinner, and they're going to be providing a dinner that at 5:30 that afternoon. That's pretty much who we are. You know, we need to stand up and speak out, and right now we have so many issues that we're dealing with, but we're really addressing the issues of hate, injustice, and we all hear constantly of the increasing anti-Semitism, and which certainly affects us, and Islamophobia and anti-Muslim rhetoric that is out there. So it's just what we do, is to stand up and speak out, and it takes lots of voices to do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions that I have, or any comments. Marge.
Yeah, so Marsha, if I understand it, VIC is still a valid organization, and you're just different in scope. Your scope is much larger than VIC, which is narrowed, right?
VIC is still in existence. They've changed their name. It's called Valley Communities. Valley.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Earl Fagan is still on the board, right?
I know, no, but it's not Valley Interfaith Council anymore. They changed their name. It's Valley Communities. I forget what it is. They changed their name. They had to change their name because they don't do any interfaith work.
Right. They're very narrow.
And they had, you know, a reputation for being the voice of interfaith, and they no longer do it. That was their choice they made. So which is fine, but they do exist, and they do provide senior services. They do a great job providing senior services.
Didn't we have one of those Sikh dinners at the temple? Once,
one of
the dinners at the temple one year. Why am I thinking we did?
Oh, no, I know what you're thinking about. We used to do an exchange with the Turkish Muslim community. We would do a dinner. Yeah, during Ramadan, we do an iftar with the Turkish community. But you're talking about the Sikhs and the food they serve. They did serve food at all of our marches. And they're also going to provide a drink at the rally in the park, because we will not be providing bottled water, because we are an environmental group. We do not promote single-use plastic, much like Temple Judea. And Jane is on our climate committee. So we have always had water, and we're not going to have bottled water. So the Sikh community, they're actually called the Sikh Coalition, are providing some kind of a yummy fruit drink for people at the rally, as well as at the festival with dinner. So any other comments? I'd like to hear, you know, some of your thoughts about the issues out there. What issues that you think are relevant are you concerned about? Anybody?
Yes, so.
I knew I could count on you, Gail.
Geez, what a reputation I'm getting. In light of the fact that you are a 501c3, and I know that all organizations that are under that Internal Revenue Service Code have to be really careful, but are you in touch and are you allowed to be in touch with any lawmakers on any level, whether city council?
We can advocate for things. We worked on, do you remember Measure J, which was a county, had to do with the county budget, that a huge coalition of organizations came together. to promote Measure J, which was a county a measure to reallocate funding, 10% of the budget of the county toward mental health services, the homeless, addiction, and services, aside from incarceration, because most of their money goes to the sheriff's department and to incarcerating people. So Measure J passed by we all voted on that. Measure J passed by a big margin, and we're still waiting to find out how they're implementing it.
Question.
And you'll probably hear about that at some of these candidate forums. Yeah.
Well, I have one other kind of a follow-up question. I know when I was with Planned Parenthood, we were very careful because it was a charitable organization, but we had a sister organization that was specifically advocacy.
Right.
So they did spend time lobbying legislators in terms of laws to be passed. I mean, very specific. I mean, I guess it's one thing to advocate for homeless and another for other political things. So I was wondering whether you have a
501c4. It's
yes,
a 501c4.
That's
No,
right.
we do not have a 501c4.
Well, not
We're
you,
not
but it would have to be a separate organization
Right,
with
right, under the auspices of the
Right.
same. That's like J Street. J Street has a 501c3, and they also have a 501c4. And
that
many
they- yeah.
organizations do. That is their political,
Exactly.
where they can get money, for political purposes.
Right.
No, that is really not where we are. We're really with working with the community, working in coalitions with community around issues that, and going to neighborhood council meetings if it's the homeless, or working in coalition with other environmental groups. It's all about education. It's more about education and educating the community. Yeah. Yeah.
If people want to make a contribution, Marsha, where should they direct their checks?
To me.
Did the check get
I
out
happen
to
to
you
be-
also?
I happen to be the CFO.
All right.
I've got the checkbook. So if you would like to join, we'd love to have you. I have a form, but you don't even need it. It's usually $25. It can be anything, $25, $50, $100 to become, a member, a partner. I'm sorry, I say member, but we're not a membership organization, a partner. And we have many partners. And we welcome anybody. It's really important work. And of course, everything we do costs money. We've been doing our Zooming for the last 2 years. All of our meetings, our programs have all been Zoomed, and all of our programs that we do in coalition with other groups too, we have to contribute to making them happen too. So any
Marsha, excuse me, Elaine's been putting her hand up.
Yeah.
Okay, two things, thank you. One is maybe put a reminder or some kind of notification in the emails that go out to us about the donations or becoming a partner or whatever, because I think that would be helpful and you could probably get some. A question about homelessness that I had, in our neighborhood, the closed fire station on Balboa that looks so lovely with all the graffiti. My thought is to turn that into housing for homeless people, or maybe homeless students, sort of like a dorm. I'm sure they have kitchen facilities, bathroom facilities, and sleeping facilities that firemen used to use, or fire people, or whatever the appropriate word is. Anyway, it's a thought, and I don't know if this organization does stuff like that, but I think it would be nicer to have housing there than have boarded up graffiti.
Right. I agree with you. There are organizations that do that. We will support any efforts to do those. We have been in support of all of the transitional and permanent housing. There was we were most involved in one in Chatsworth, which is at the time, which was a couple of years ago, was the only council district that did not have one single shelter room, not one. They have since taken over, I think, a motel here or there, but there was a very big,
Closed caption.
there was a very big project being planned on Topanga Canyon and I think not on Rinaldi, it's south of Topanga, very big project. And we were very involved in advocating for that project. It was a really tough situation. Nasty, nasty encounters with groups up there. Very, very negative. Unfortunately, the council member of that district is not supportive of these kinds. He says he is, but he really isn't. John Lee. So, and actually the march this year, it's going to be very interesting because it's in his district. It's in the part of.
I'm not sure I understand.
No, I didn't say anything to you. That was my watch talking to me. I'm not sure that he'll be there or not. I don't know. But yeah, it's a very controversial issue. It's been really tough. There are a lot of NIMBYs out there. And some of you may have attempted to see we were part of a coalition that put on a mayoral forum a few weeks ago at Beth Hillel. And there were some disruptors. And we know who these people are who came, and they disrupted the meeting to the extent that they had to stop the meeting with all of these candidates, not all of them, but most of the candidates there. It was, there's some very negative people out there and some very radical people who do things in a radical way. And we just have to, try to counter that by doing the positive things. And that's our approach. Our approach is dialogue and support what we feel is just and right. And that's what we do. And we do it in large numbers. We try to do it in large numbers. So we've done there's been a lot of, and we've done a lot of great programs. Yeah. Mostly virtual in the last 2 years. So, but we do focus a lot on, if you look at we have a Facebook page, go to Interfaith Solidarity Network or interfaithsolidarity.org, and you'll see our Facebook page, and we also have a web page, interfaithsolidaritynetwork.org, and you can see some of the things that we have done. So I'm happy to, share any other information you'd like, or if you have questions. And I do hope I think if you are able to, on June 12th to join us, I think you'll enjoy it. It should be wonderful. I was at the temple the other day, as was Eileen, for the Hall of Justice, and we were having a good time talking to each other. But there were a few people who stopped and saw our flyer, and they said, "Oh, a music festival. Oh, that's wonderful. I'd love to go to a music festival." So that should, it should be fun. It should be fun. Instead of a lot of speeches, it'll be music. So it should be great. So I do hope you'll be able to join us for that. Darlene?
Well, the Thanksgiving program that the Interfaith Council did was absolutely beautiful. I think actually there was more than one, but the first one was the one that I saw.
Yeah, we had two each year. The last 2 years, they've been done virtually. Yeah, which is nice because you can get a much bigger turnout. Yeah, Rabbi Jim Kaufman does our program. He's our program chair, and he puts on amazing programs. And he has a committee. We've got a whole new committee working on the march of new people, and who have not been involved before and are taking the lead on the march this year. So it's very exciting. Yeah, our programming has been outstanding. It's very inspirational. And to have Naomi Tutu speak, and she actually spoke from South Africa. She is the associate pastor of All Saints Episcopal Church in Beverly Hills. And but she was in South Africa, and she did our MLK event from South Africa. It was really beautiful. And yeah, so we have some good programs, and of course we want to do more. We'd like to do more, grassroots kinds of things, maybe create some dialogue groups, but we're still growing. We're still growing, and we're trying to outreach to our congregations. We have 30 or 40 congregations to help them promote what they're doing, because I will tell you, every congregation, and I'm on other interfaith council groups here in Ventura as well, every single congregation is doing programming around interfaith, around Black justice, much like we are doing at Temple Judea. They're all doing it. So we want to help promote our own Valley congregations and what they're doing. So that's, what more can I tell you? They're wonderful people to work with. And we've even started talking about, we have been talking about helping with resettlement. When we started talking about it, was the Afghan refugees. Now it's the Ukrainian refugees. So we're trying to provide a vehicle for the congregations, and there are some congregations who are doing it, and we are trying to help facilitate that happening. We've made connections with 2 organizations in the city that's what they do, 2 refugee organizations, one of whom is, I don't know what her position is. Her name is Cambria Smith. I don't know if any of you remember Cambria, but many years ago, we've come full circle. She was the executive director of Valley Interfaith Council. And then she went into being a clergy member, what are they called? Obviously she's not a priest, but she was the head clergy, I can't think of what they're called, director something, at Holy Family Catholic Parish in Pasadena. She was there for 10 years after she left Valley Interfaith Council. And she was the head clergy there for 10 years. And she just left there last summer and now is working on this at this refugee agency, settling refugees. So she's been a inspiration, and I've worked with her for many years, and an inspiration to me. So that's it. I don't know what more I can tell you without, boring you. Darlene. You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. My topics mind is running over here. I'm sorry. I have 3, I think I would like to touch in with you about. First is Jerry and I did participate in the first march.
Mhm.
And I don't think I realized that it was the first. It was so extraordinary in terms of the energy, the enthusiasm, and the vibe from that day. We were not marchers. We vanned. between the three locations. And I think when you asked about who was there, that it was maybe before Sandy came on, because as I remember, Frayne and Sandy were part of the hosting people for Temple
Right.
Judea
Right.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure they remember how we were all crammed in the living room
Mhm.
lobby area of the temple and glad to be indoors.
Right.
And just the general excitement of being this many people with this kind of a feeling. What I wanted to ask was two things. One is the simple one. Will Temple Judea be publicizing the June 12th event through our Judean or the Bet Salem?
I believe so. I believe so. I have sent in the flyer. They've received a flyer from Jim Kaufman. Lily has all the information, and I'm so thrilled that Lily is now heading up at Salem, because she will, I'm sure, make sure that everything gets publicized. They do publicize. They're very careful about the timing on publicity, because this isn't until June. So they probably won't start publicizing it until a few weeks before the beginning of June, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how they determine when they start publicizing it, but I hope they will. And Judea's, and I have to tell you very honestly and very frankly that Rabbi Aronson, who was the first person to be asked if we should do this, if we should form an organization, he said absolutely. And then he has contributed substantially financially to the organization and has said to me, I can't be involved. He was on our board. He's technically an advisor. He and Father Alexi Smith are advisors, but they're very, very busy people. So we don't anticipate there being more involved. But I will tell you very honestly that Rabbi Aronson has been most generous financially and has said to me, I cannot be involved, but if you ever need money, just call me. So there's a commitment there. It's a huge commitment and a very important commitment. And I know he's with us in spirit, even though he can't be, actively involved. And I certainly understand that. I certainly understand that.
All right. So Ellen Pozell had in the chat asked if you could post the flyer. So Ellen, I think part of the response would be watch the Judean and the Bet Salem from TJ for that information.
I can forward the flyer to all of you. I can do that. I have copies of the flyer in emails, and I can forward that to you all if you would like. If I don't want to send you something that you don't want, but I'd be happy to send you the flyer. Would everybody like me to do that? Okay.
Great.
Gail. Anybody else want it? Elaine?
Marsha, if you remember, will you get it anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
If you remember, will you get it anyway?
Yes. You should have gotten it already, actually, Marge. Yeah, it comes from Daniel Tam. He sends every Tuesday, there's an email blast to everybody on our email list, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So it should be coming, if you are a member, and I believe you are, then you should be getting that email, and the flyer is on the email. Yeah,
Marsha, I'd like one.
okay.
And finally, I would imagine that you're a little bit close to the fray to be able to give a more global perspective. But from what you told us, the group formed out of a strong sense of felt need and has been responding in the same way to events. Do you have a sense that you can share with us of how you're doing?
I think we have done good work. You know, it's been difficult this past 2 years in terms of being visual. I'm hoping the March will recreate that. We have done a lot, as I said, I've worked in coalition a lot on the homeless issue, and they know who we are in those arenas, the homeless issue and climate justice. We've been very active in those areas. We're working, we always respond. We haven't, as far as I know, there has not been anything recent that we've responded to. There was something a few months ago, and I'm forgetting what it was that we responded to. We'll respond with a press release, something like that, if something happens out there that, you know, is not an acceptable thing. As I said, we did respond to those 2 incidents, which were a couple of years ago. And we do respond to those things. The march is really, the reason we're so excited about it is because sort of out of sight, out of mind. But when we have a march and hundreds of people show up and the press is there, and we do have a publicist, we have PR, professional PR, and we remind people that we're here and that we're speaking out and we're speaking up and we're promoting all the good things. You know, we're trying to counter all the hatred and the anti-Semitism and the Islamophobia. And we will stand by any organization, any faith tradition that has any issues or any problems. That's who we are. That's what we do. So we just, you know, it's been like with everything, it's been a little bit unusual, you know, because everything's been done virtually for the last 2 years. So we're coming together again. Together again is our theme. And we're very excited about that because we can physically be together, but more than that, we're spiritually together and we're emotionally together with any group. And coming together is really what it's all about. You know, we all know that. You want to fight bigotry and anti-Semitism, and you get to know somebody. You march with somebody, you find out who they are, where they come from, what do they love to do. That's how you break down barriers. That's the only way you can break down barriers. And we'd like to do more of that. We definitely would like to do more of that one-on-one. And there are lots of ways of doing that. But we've been held back because of COVID. You know, we haven't been able to do that. So we hope to do more of it.
Marsha, I want to thank you. First, thank you for saying yes to talking to us.
Thank you. I
And
love being with you all.
and to those who showed up, I think they've been educated or re-educated.
Mhm.
And so I'm personally, for TJVillage, I'm very thankful that you came and spoke with us. And I thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I appreciate.
Keep up your good work, Marsha.
Thank you. I do. Thank you for inviting me to do this. And I hope you've learned something about, we call it ISN for short, about ISN and the good work that they are doing. And I hope you will, I think if you come to the march, I think you'll be inspired. And just to support it and know that it's happening, because every face counts, you know, and it'll be a fun day too. So I'd love to have, do you have a list of everybody who was here today, Judy?
Uh,
Do you have a,
no, I didn't make one, but if you want to know who's,
just so I know, because I don't know, have everybody's email, so.
you know what I'll do? I'll do a screenshot and let me see.
I just did one, and
Uh-huh.
I'll send it to Marsha.
Thank
Oh,
you very much, Murray.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I may not have everybody's email, so if they'll send it to somebody and pass it on to me, I'd appreciate it. Darlene, maybe you have.
Well, the resource I think we've all been using is Brotherhood Directory.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a big directory, big one from the temple, so they're
Yeah,
probably all in there.
Okay.
that's the one I was thinking about. The Brotherhood this year did mail them to all temple members.
Okay, I'm looking on the chat to see everybody's name. I'm not sure I have everybody. I've got Ellen.
So Murray's going to tell you, send you the list.
I sent her a screenshot of the pictures. I didn't do the chat.
Okay. Well,
You'll get
I'm
everybody's
having
name.
trouble with my, because I don't know. I think I've got everybody. Ellen and
You have Gloria,
Yeah.
Elaine,
I've got Ellen and Gloria. Okay, Gloria and Elaine.
and
Okay.
Marge, and
Yeah,
Darlene.
Marge, Eileen,
Beverly.
Marlene, and Beverly. Yeah, okay. And Judy. Okay,
And Frank and Sandy.
Sandy and Frame. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And at the beginning, we had Carol Sobel
Oh,
on screen.
wait a minute. Let me get rid of this. Carol Sobel. Okay. Thank you.
Beverly Dolan.
Yes.
Beverly Dolan.
Yeah, I have Beverly. Some of you who are in my book group or the Temple book group will have already received it, because I believe I sent the flyer out to you all already. So if you get a second one, you'll know why. So yeah, I passed it along, I think, yesterday.
Thank you again, Marsha.
Well, thank you, Marge. Thank you all for taking the time to be with us. I appreciate your taking your time.
It was very informative.
Well, I hope you have a better sense of who we are. And I didn't mention, I do want to mention that right now we have about, if you can believe it, 38 congregations in the Valley who are partners, meaning they've sent us money. They've sent us checks. They're committed. We had more before COVID. We've lost a few over for whatever reason, and a few have actually, because of COVID, there have been a few congregations that have had to disband. I think one is the synagogue, but the rest of them are churches. So we all know the status of religious affiliation these days. So especially in the Protestant community. And we don't have many evangelicals, or, it's mostly congregations, to be very honest with you, that are really into social justice, into interfaith and social justice work. So, but we have about 38 congregations. So we're doing well. We thank you all.
So
Thank you.
before we close, let me invite all of you, if you haven't already registered for TJVillage's in-person get-together on May 19th. Please join us at 12:30 for lunch. That's what your registration will get for you. And some game playing, but a chance for the first time in TJVillage's 2-year history to be together in person. We would be delighted to see you all.
We're coming from Ventura. We're coming.
That's great. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. Judy, heal well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're okay.
Take care.
Smiling,
Bye.
so that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, better than this
You
morning.
know how to get out of this.
Say it again, Eileen.
How are you feeling?
Oh,
A little pill helped me today.
yeah. Is
How are
that
you?
the therapy? Is
Yes.
hard, isn't it?
Yes. I have a friend who's a doctor who wrote to me and said, Judy, this is one of the hardest things to get through. You'll do it. No, so I know I'll do it. It's just, I don't like the shooting pains. Anyway,
There's so many nerves in the knee. I remember when I had my knee surgery going back a long, long time ago, and people said, well, it's arthroscopic, no big deal. It's no big deal if it's happening to me. If it were happening to you, you'd understand what a big deal it is, because I remember waking up thinking I'd rather have a baby. It was so damn painful.
I've always heard that a hip replacement is easier
Then a
than
knee,
replacement.
because of the nerves.
according
and
to this doctor, yeah, I'm sorry. The joint is supposed to, the knee joint is the worst, they
Mhm.
said.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I will make it through.
Yes. you
I
will.
see myself being able to march in June,
Good.
maybe 2 blocks, but
Well, we'll piggyback you, or we'll give you a ride.
nobody could be.
There will be cars. There will
Okay.
be cars too. Yeah, we'll be moving things, so we'll get you there. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do make accommodations for people who need, close parking and whatever. So. we want-
Anyway, thank you again,
Thank
Marsha.
you. Thank you all for being there.
Eileen, how's everything?
Status quo.
Oh, okay.
You know, Shelley, just so you know what her question is about, is my dog has cancer, and we were ready to put her down, and she woke up wagging her tail and eating food. And I thought, how can I be a murderer? I mean, that's how I felt yesterday. And she woke me up this morning to tell me she needed to pee and poop, and then ate breakfast. And I even took her for a walk, and she loved it. And so we're going to enjoy each day as it comes. She got tired after the walk, but she's herself at the moment, and she's not suffering, and she's not anxious and not nervous. And so for the moment, we got to keep her, and called off the big event, thankfully. And it was terribly stressful. So God, how much longer I have, I don't know. But she's okay. Today, she's okay.
Good to hear.
I'm going to go cook for her right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Take care, everybody. I'm going to end this for you all.
All
Take
right.
care, Shelley.
Bye, Shelley.
Bye-bye, Shelley.